Well, hello everyone and welcome. It's a great day to be in the woods. I've returned to Reid Lake Foot Travel area north of Glenny, Michigan for an overnight winter camp. I got my brand new pull sled all loaded up here and I'm ready to head back into the woods. It's the second week of March already, and I bought this pull sled back in November or December, high hopes that I'd be able to get out and do a couple overnights in it this year. Well, the winter's been so screwy and I just could never make the timing work right. Finally, last chance here in early March, a late winter camp. I'm gonna make it happen. We'll see how it goes. The weather forecast for overnight is kind of crappy. Snow mixed with freezing rain. I'm already all loaded up here, ready to put my harness on and head back into the woods. So let's go. I give you all a look at my my brand new pull sled here before I harness up. This is the Eagle Claw Chappelle jet sled. It's the large one. And I shot a video, I haven't edited it yet, of how I modified this sled for polk duty. You can see some strapping loops I've attached along the sides of the sled to hold the cargo down. I've got these skipolk.com polk pole attachment points here. I've got my polk poles, my homemade polk poles, and a harness. That is a military cargo vest harness that I've adapted for use as a polk harness. Got like molly webbing on it that I've attached the polk poles to, and some accessory bags to hold my cell phone and stuff to need it ready access on the trail. Anyway, this is the first time out with this rig. I'm hoping for good things. All right, we're underway. You can see someone's already been back here. Polk tracks, sled tracks along the trail here. Trail's not icy, it's packed down. I don't know. I have my ice grips with me, but I opted to leave my snowshoes back in the truck. I'm hoping I don't need them. I'm hoping I won't regret that. Snow's not really that deep here, so hopefully it won't be a problem. As long as I don't go off trail, we should be okay. The first impressions pulling this polk, it's not easy. I don't know if you can see it back there. I got it loaded up pretty good. It's a large sled and I probably got way too much stuff in there. But winter camping is the kind of thing where you'd better be safe than sorry. So I got probably twice as much stuff as I'd normally bring on a backpack camping trip. I didn't weigh my load, but I'm guessing I got 40 or 50 pounds back there. Stop for a minute and rest here already. I chose Reid Lake this weekend because I remember it I remember it as being less hilly. But straight out from the parking lot, the trailhead, it's been uphill, gentle all the way. So I've been working. I'm only about a quarter of a mile in already, and I've been working. I'm already starting to sweat. Oh, I've been really out of shape lately. I look up into the woods. There's probably, I don't know, 8 or 12 inches of snow on the ground in there. Little bit concerned about finding firewood because most of the dead and down stuff is going to be buried with snow. There's one of my favorite scenes in the winter woods. The little beech saplings in the understory of the forest, they hold their leaves all winter long, and on a nice sunny day they cast their shadows on the snow on the forest floor. It's so pretty. And the leaves, they wiggle and shake at the slightest breeze. So it makes a nice sound and a nice sight. Perfection in nature right there. It seems like it's been uphill all the way. I always overdo it in terms of load, whether I'm packing or polking. Can you see it through the woods there? There's Reid Lake. So we're going to go down here 100 yards or so and turn left, take us around the end of the lake there to the far side where potential campsites are. I know there's a couple of official Forest Service sites back there. I may opt to stay in one of those, or I may opt to go back up the hill a little ways beyond the lake and see if I can find something back there too. We'll see when we get over there. Oh, all right, March. So far I really like the way this polk has been pulling behind me. The money I spent on the polk and the time I took building the harness poles, and especially the GI cargo vest, military surplus. That thing, having the shoulder straps makes a world of difference, because otherwise what I found in the past with my polk pulling it is if you don't have shoulder straps, you just have a waist belt, it tends to pull the waist belt down on your hips. Very uncomfortable. So this is helping tremendously. All right, let's start over. I just took a minute and a half of video without ever pushing the red button. So I'm down on the shore of Reid Lake. It's very, very bright here. I'm squinting like crazy. I hope the camera's not whiting out. Anyway, the last guy down here with a polk, he went out on the lake, went down a little ways, zigzagged around out there, turned around, and came back right here. He did not go straight across the lake, and even though the campsites that I'm headed for are right across the lake where you're looking right now, I'm not going to be an idiot. I'm not going to be a fool. I'm not walking across this lake. I'm going back here where I came from, take a left, and the trail runs along the lake shore there, through the woods, all the way around the end of the lake there, and eventually comes out over there. No ice crossings for me. Look at how wide that polk is. Look at that track. That's one sled. That thing's 3 feet wide. There's my trekking pole for reference. Wow. Huge. Huge. Gonna unharness here. I saw something interesting alongside the trail here, so I'm gonna slip out of my harness and show it to you. So I was walking along, I started noticing feathers in the snow all along the trail, and I looked up ahead, there was a whole bunch of them. Wow, something happened here. And I looked up alongside the trail about 10 feet off the trail, and there's a bird carcass back there. What we got here is either a hawk or an eagle kill. So I'm gonna go look at it. Feathers are everywhere. Nothing left of the carcass. Oh, there it is. Picked pretty clean. Nothing left except a pile of feathers. Wow. So I have no idea. I'm not enough of a sportsman to know what kind of bird this is with the brown and white plumage. Look at those downy feathers. No wonder the birds stay warm in the winter. Look at how downy that is. Nature takes care of its own. Well, I hate to be a vulture on my own, but I've been looking for a cool feather to stick in my hat. This poor bird's demise is going to lead me to a feather. If I can get one that's not attached to a chunk of meat. Here's one that doesn't have quite so much stuff on it. It's not quite as brightly colored though. I don't know, they're about the same. Alright, thank you, birdie. You provided a meal for another bird and a feather for my cap. What do you think? You like it? Oh, we got an obstruction up ahead. A tree down across the trail. I don't know if I can duck low enough. And going up and over with this polk behind me is not an option either. I'm gonna have to unharness. Oh, there's not only one, there's two. There's another one up ahead. All right, time out. Alright, so I've arrived back at the area on the other side of the lake where the campsites are. There's a post for one of them right there. You can see the lake in the background. I just came through that, and much harder going through there. Only one or two people have preceded me, and the snow depth is it's mid-calf or just a little below, and I was post holing a little bit, making me wish I did bring my snowshoes, but I didn't, and it is what it is. I'm going to make the best of it. It just means that I'm not going to go into the woods off trail. Up ahead here is the site. It's probably just over that little rise there is the site where I stayed this past summer, and that's going to be my destination for the night. I should be able to round up enough firewood. I've seen quite a bit of downed limbs and so forth along the trail that I can go back and retrieve. So I'm going to get over there and get a site set up. All right, I'm on site. This is the same site that I camped on this past summer. I think it was July or August when I came back here. Late July, I think. And right over there is where I hung my hammock between those two trees. You can barely recognize the site right now. There's the bench, the lake out there to the south. The old rotten wood bench, fire pit, and someone else has preceded me here, which is a good thing. Less work for me to do. They left me some campfire. There's a spot over there where they pitched their tent, and I'm gonna get to work here. Not my survival, but my comfort and pleasure depend on me gathering a good supply of firewood for tonight. So I got to get with that. I got to get my shelter set up. I got to get my firewood gathered, and really no time to monkey around with doing video during that. I need to get to work and get busy. So when I'm all set up, I'll come back and show you my camp. All right, hi ho, it's off to work I go. Well, I'm all set up finally. Wasn't as bad as it could have been, being as that the previous occupant of this site did a lot of the work for me. So I have my tent set up over there right on the spot he'd already packed down and prepared. And I've gathered a whole bunch of firewood. The two longest pieces there were already here, leaning up against those trees there. And I went back in the woods and I gathered some smaller sized pieces, some dry pine branches to use for kindling. And all I got to do now is saw these trunks up into manageable sized pieces, and I should be ready to get a fire going there. I need to get a fire because I need to heat some water. I need some chocolate or some tea or something inside of me. So, time to get back to work. If you can hear too, the breeze is picking up here. It's blowing out of the, I would say, east, southeast, which is not a good sign. Not a good sign. Always means weather. Some kind of weather is coming in. And well, they're predicted snow and freezing rain overnight. So we're going to weather the storm, it looks like. So I'm kind of screwed because I just sawed into those two long sapling trunks that I found on site here, and they're greenwood. Whoever the last Yahoo was on this site, he cut down green trees for his fires. No wonder he left them leaning against the tree there. They wouldn't have burned anyway. So I got to go hunting again for some dead standing. Hopefully I can find some with sizable, decent sized trunks. Fortunately, the woods here are full of a lot of blowdown and busted limbs and stuff, so I didn't take any dead standing. And I sure didn't chop any live standing like the last goof did. Oh, I don't know what gets into people. Anyway, I should have a sufficient supply of firewood now for my needs tonight and tomorrow morning. So I just now got to get with sawing it. All right, I know you can't see me, but I got birch bark and fat wood in here, and I'm going to try to start this with my little sparker. I don't know if I'm going to have any luck or not. Oh, I see flame. It's caught the fat wood. What do you know? Surprise myself sometimes. Remember, keep your tinder dry. Fat wood and birch bark. It's like pouring gasoline onto a fire. Did that make any sense? I'll melt my camera here if I'm not careful. Can you hear that birch bark in there? Crackling and bubbling? Sounds like bacon grease frying. The blue hour is upon us. Purple snow. I got to apologize for the lack of video. I haven't shot any video since about 3-4 hours ago. This camp has been a little bit more than I anticipated in terms of wood gathering and keeping the fire going. Pretty much all the wood around here is damp, and it's really difficult. It takes a lot of energy to keep the fire stoked. And about 2 hours ago I reached for my camera or my phone, wanted to check the weather, and I saw I was at 8% battery. I go, well, I'll just charge up. Well, you know where the charging cord was? Back in my truck. So I did a quick mental debate on the wisdom of staying here versus going back for the cord and retrieving the cord one out. So I've just come back from like a 3-mile round trip hike to get my phone cord, and I'm on the battery now charging, so everything's good there. I just did not want to be back here in the woods without a way to contact the outside world. So let that be a lesson to everyone. I make list after list after list when I go on these outings, and check things off and write things down, and no matter how thorough I am or I think I am, I always forget something. So maybe it's my age, maybe I'm losing it, I don't know, but no excuses. I did a dumb thing, and I took the opportunity to bring my snowshoes back with me too, because I had left them in the truck just in case we get dumped on overnight. I haven't looked at the weather yet, so we'll see in a minute here what the forecast is, if it's changed. Anyway, I'm pretty worn out from a double hike here today. One pulling the polk and the other swift footing it back to the truck and back to the camp. And I'm just going to get the fire stoked back up. I'm going to have a snack. I'm not even going to cook my dinner. I'm just going to eat some sweet snack. The stuff I bought for dinner, I'll probably cook for breakfast if it's not pouring down rain. But yeah, I'm just going to have a Cliff Bar and some donuts, some hot chocolate. I'm going to get all carbed and sugared up and sit by the fire a while and then crawl in my bag because I am beat. All right, so I might shoot some more video around the fire, but for the time being, I'm going to sign off. So. Who wants to get up? Well, good morning. That was an interesting night. It rained / snowed / sleeted all night long just about. And quite a different world outside this morning than I left when I crawled into the tent. I'll show you. Big heavy wet flakes of snow falling out there right now. You can see my tarp I put over my wood and my polk there. It's all covered. Here's my two cargo boxes. You can see how much of that stuff is on top of them. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I gotta go out there and see if I can make a fire if I want coffee and warm food, because I didn't bring a stove. Genius. Anyway, the radar shows that this band of snow is about to move out, and after it there won't be any left. So maybe in about 20 minutes this is gonna stop, I'm hoping. It's 8:30 a.m. right now. You can see my messy tent. Everything is just jammed in everywhere. I'm going to do a little housekeeping in here. Try to get packed up a little bit better before I venture outside. That way it's going to be quicker to load up when I'm ready to get out of here. The good news is my tent didn't leak. This tent's about 10 years old and it's never leaked. REI sells a solid product. This is the Camp Dome 2, I think. And I bought this tent in 2008 and it's never leaked on me. I take that back. One time I was in it in a pounding thunderstorm and it leaked a little bit around the seams. Oh, right here where these little tabs are, it drew water in from outside and was dripping a little bit. That's the only time this tent has ever leaked, so I'm really happy with it. Everything in here is damp because the entire environment is damp right now, and plus the condensation from my breathing all night long, but no leakage, which is a good thing. Well, technology is a marvelous thing. 20 minutes ago I looked at my radar on the phone and I could see the last band of precipitation sweeping across and out of the area, and I remarked it should be gone in 20 minutes, and sure enough, there's just a few scant flakes in the air now. And the cool thing is, There shouldn't be anything behind it. I think it's done. There's the snow on my fly. In a minute, I'll be dressed and be brave enough to go out there and get a better look at the world. Here's my latest piece of military surplus gear. Extreme cold weather system. Polar fleece pants. I wore those last night to sleep in. I found these at a Salvation Army store. They had a whole rack full of them, like a dozen or more, new and barely used. These are medium, short, regular, and they just fit me. They're a little short. They come up like they hang above the ankle, basically. I think they're meant to wear with high boots, but otherwise they fit me perfect around the waist and torso, and so I decided I was going to buy them, and they had a discount at Salvation Army that day, and I got these for like $1.75. I figure at least if I don't wear them under my pants, I can at least wear them to sleep in, and I did last night, and they work great. Nothing like putting on a pair of cold boots in the morning. And it's not easy to do one-handed either. Oh man, I had to put the camera down. Did I get them on the right feet? Oh, they're cold too. Damp inside from sweating in them yesterday. They're waterproof, but they're damp inside from sweating in them, so it's going to take a while to warm up. Oh, I'm headed out. There's the hooch. She withstood the cold, wet night. I listened to the snow sliding off that end of the tent all night long. That little pile there, I piled that up. I banked that up there. That's not what slid off. I banked that up to keep the drafts out. Yeah. That rain fly is sagging. It's sagging. Oh, can you see the stains at the base of all the trees from the rain hitting them and washing down the trunks onto that pure white snow? That's interesting. Never seen that before. This wood's really wet, and this was a dead pine, standing dead. I just give it a push and it fell right over, but it's wet. It's soaked through. I had high hopes for this piece. It's fat wood too. It was at the bottom of the trunk, and it's just impregnated, soaked with resin. But even in that state, if it's wet, it's not going to burn. These feel dry. The only thing burning in there is the birch bark. I stripped off a dead birch back there. Everything else is just smoldering. Just a giant smudge pot. A lot of effort here this morning just to get a cup of coffee. Try a different tack here. Good thing I'm using a coffee filter because that's going to be some chewy coffee. Well, that's going to be a strong cup because I didn't boil enough water. It was worth the wait. Oh yeah. Things are starting to look up. Seems this is the only way I'm going to get any heat out of this fire is to constantly fan it. Anyway, I'm cooking my breakfast, brunch, because it's probably almost 11 o'clock. This is the meal I was supposed to have last night. I was going to make chorizo and bean burritos, but I just ran out of gas and victim of circumstances. So I'm going to try to brown up this chorizo here so I can make some burritos. I have the beans in plastic bag there, warming in the water. I gotta have some sustenance. I gotta have some food and energy in me to make the trek back to the truck. Otherwise, I'm gonna bonk big time. And they'll have to send in the rescue squad for me. Coming along pretty nicely, actually. I think I can move it off to the side here and get my beans warmed up. Well, there you have it. Burrito, chorizo, beans, cheese, salsa, jalapenos, cilantro, and onions. And nothing's hot. But it's food. It's going to fill a hole. Well, nothing left to do now but to clean up my dishes and pack up and get out of here. Just reflecting on this camp. It was not at all what I expected it would be. I wanted to see how I could handle the weather, you know, because when I came up, I knew ahead of time that it was going to be snowy and rainy overnight. And I wanted to see if I could handle that. And I did handle it okay, but it was a lot more work and it required effort and determination and didn't really leave me a lot of time. I felt like taking care of business in the campsite was more important than making video, so I apologize for the shortage of video footage. Yeah, here's my mess. My food bucket all has to be rearranged. Dirty dishes have to be taken care of. Cameras and tripods need to be put away. Tent needs to be busted down. Snow knocked off of it. A lot of work to do yet. And I just realized I brought along a couple ounces of whiskey and a can of beer too, and this is the first camp ever, I believe, where I didn't drink anything. Coffee, cocoa, tea, that was it, no booze. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just didn't feel like drinking yesterday. Just too tired, and I didn't want to mess things up with the alcohol, so there's a time and place for everything when you're in the woods. Oh, what a different place these woods are in the winter. Totally different feel. Wide open, everything's visible. Let's go over here and look at this. Something. I got my snowshoes on. Easier going through here. Let's go see what the Kardashian butt tree looks like in the wintertime. Also known as the monkey butt tree. Yeah, quite a shelf. She's holding some snow. Monkey butt. Badonkadonk. Look at the tannins. The tannins from the bark of this tree here that ran down in the rain and sleet last night, and they're running downhill, staining the snow. Anyway, my battery's at 28%, and I don't know how long it's going to last. I have it on the charger, but it's charging very slowly, I think just because of the cold weather. I'm ready to hike out, and you can see I have my Gore-Tex hard shell on here, which I may decide to change out of because I have a feeling I'm going to get very overheated in this, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. We'll see how far I get before I have to take it off. It's on the other side of the lake now. I'm walking right along the shore, and over there's where my campsite was, directly across the lake here. That first ridge there is the trail, and then up above is another ridge with just woods. And last night I was sitting on my fire by my campsite and I saw lights. Someone was hiking over here. They had a headlight on, and at first it looked like they were on this trail, but then I saw the light go way up high into the woods there. This was 7:30 at night, after dark. For the life of me, I can't imagine what that person could have been doing back in here. If they were camping, they were getting an awful late start. The only thing I can think is they were out for a after dark ski. But even so, I don't know why you'd go up into those woods on skis. Well, they said it was going to get windy after the storm. And it is. It's picking up right now. I just come down a little downhill, and now I got to slog up an incline here. It's pretty tough going in this wet snow. I got my snowshoes. Get all the dangly stuff out of the way. Got my snowshoes there, which is a good thing because I need them. Aren't these woods pretty? Looks like just a place for a bobcat to be tracking you along those hills. The trail runs down in a valley between hills on either side. Could be a bobcat up there watching me, just waiting. Why do I even think about stuff like that? Alright, engage. Low gear, here we go. This is called slogging. Every footstep is one step closer to the truck. That's what I tell myself. Alright, more slogging. We just came up a little hill, and now it's leveled out for a few hundred yards. How's the Polk doing back there? Is it in the field of view? I don't know, I can't even see. Pole's pretty good, except it's heavy. It's really heavy. And my hips are sore. I'm very tired from yesterday. My hips are sore. Oh, lower back is sore. I'm taking it real easy. I'm following, I don't know if you can see him there in the trail. It's very low contrast conditions right now. Another set of snowshoe tracks. In fact, they pair. And they're heading out, and there's no matching set heading in. So I'm thinking that the lights I saw in the woods last night, there's another couple out here, spent the night, and this is their tracks hiking out this morning. I saw them a couple times from across the lake. They discovered that bird carcass just like I did, and they were very interested in that. If any of you recognize that feather that I retrieved, what kind of bird that might have come from, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking that was either an owl kill, or a hawk, or an eagle. I mean, those are the birds that I know will kill other birds, prey on and kill other birds. And whatever bird they killed was a fairly large bird, because the feathers were large and the carcass was large too. It was no little Tweety bird. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Adventures in the Woods with Mark. It's always a good day in the woods, except when it rains and snows and sleets all in one night. Actually, it wasn't that bad. I survived without too much troubles. No danger. I was never in danger. It was never even uncomfortable, except for a little while last afternoon when my toes got kind of cold, but I just put some dry socks on and some toe warmers and I was good to go. I never got cold overnight. The temperatures hung right around freezing, so coldness wasn't really an issue. I had plenty of cold, proper clothing with me, a spare set of dry clothes, wet weather gear. I had my snowshoes, everything I needed, so that was never an issue. I was prepared, but still a couple things I could have done better. And my takeaways, can you hear that wind blowing now? My takeaways from this outing are the bulk worked awesome. Everything I did in terms of modifying this jet sled worked perfectly. The poles, the harness, flawless. It tracks straight and through. The only thing with this sled is it's large, so it has a lot of square inches of bearing area. What that does is spread out the load across the snow, but it also does create a fair amount of friction or stiction, especially in the wet snow. So it was a chore pulling it back here this afternoon. Another takeaway is if cold weather or rain, let me phrase that differently. If rain or snow are in the forecast, be prepared and be aware that everything is going to be work. It's going to take you twice as long to do everything. Snow is going to get into all your equipment. Everything's going to get damp and wet, so be prepared for that. The one mistake I will say that I made, actually there were two mistakes. We'll get to the second one. The one big mistake that I made was, like a fool, I thought there would be ample supply of firewood available back in the forest, which there is an ample supply back there. But in the wintertime, it's all wet. It's not going to burn. And the mistake I made was not bringing an alternate source of fire to cook with. for whatever stupid reason. I didn't want to be bothered with the extra gear and weight, which is in hindsight really foolish. I should have brought an alcohol stove or my little MSR whisper light. It would have saved me a lot of headache, and I would have had been able to cook and make my coffee and warm drinks a lot easier. Next time, live and learn. But you can learn from my mistakes, so don't you do that. If you're going to do a winter camp, make sure you have 2 sources of fire with you. The other mistake I made, and it's just a bonehead senior moment brain fart, I left my snowshoes and my phone charging cord in my truck and didn't realize it till way after I had camp set up, and I made a decision that I couldn't be without either of them, and it's a good thing. I just didn't want to be back in the woods with no phone, that I couldn't contact someone in an emergency. And I did have reception back there, 2 bars. I was able to make calls, no problems, which is a good thing. So, phone and the snowshoes. And I didn't need them yesterday, but it snowed 1.5 inches, 2 inches of heavy wet snow overnight, and I needed those for the pack out today. It made a world of difference in getting down the trail. So I've babbled and rambled long enough. Those are my takeaways from this trip. Like I said, my motto is, it's never a bad day in the woods. Some days are better, but there's never a bad day. So until next time, next adventure, this is Mark signing off. We'll see you then. Bye.